Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday Night Live from Courtroom Confidential, the fastest growing true crime news channel on YouTube. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for supporting Wednesday Night Live. Thank you for supporting this channel. I really look forward to these, and I'm looking forward to this Wednesday in particular because of the guests that we have tonight. First, let me thank some people in the chat, Mary Fitz and Kim Watson and Moments in Trading. Thank you so much for being here. Farm Girl and Shell and Razor, hello to you. Alicia, hello to you. A lot of familiar names, a lot of new names. If you're new for the first time you're watching this Courtroom Confidential or watching Wednesday Night Live, let me introduce myself. My name is Joshua Ritter. I'm a former prosecutor with the LA District Attorney's Office. I was there for just over 10 years before I left to go into private practice as a criminal defense attorney. This is Courtroom Confidential, where we try our level best to present to you both sides of the courtroom. And this is Wednesday Night Live. It's our midweek check-in on all things true crime, where we have a guest. Tonight's guest is a huge fan favorite. In fact, I feel like most of the people who follow us already follow Gisela from Grizzly True Crime. I'm a big fan of hers. I find her to be an inspiration for the deep dives that she does into cases. And tonight we're talking about the case of the singer David, and really disturbing facts coming out about a young woman who was found inside of the trunk of a vehicle that was registered to him. We'll fill you in on all the details. But in the meantime, while Gisela and I, there's all the bears. There they show up. I love it. In the meantime, we're going to run a poll. And that is, while we're talking about the David case, here's 3 other cases that are making news this week. We will put those on a poll. You vote on them. And with the time that we have left over, I'll try to get into those cases as much as I can. The first one is Rex Heuermann. Recent rulings by the judge in that case and some developments that we can talk about. Luigi Mangione, his defense team filed a huge brief over the weekend, and the judge actually earlier today not made a ruling. Maybe it is a ruling, but certainly there's a little bit of finger wagging from the judge towards the prosecution team today. And then a case that you may not have heard of. It's out of New Zealand. A woman by the name of Hakyung was convicted of the grisly murders of her 2 children. And we can go into that. A case that is kind of off of the radar, a case that I was not all that aware of, but I think certainly for our international community and those who follow us out of New Zealand, you might be interested in hearing the updates on that. Stay to the end. We do have some announcements that I want you guys to know about. And as always, before I bring Gisela on, take a moment right now, if you can, to like this episode, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend. But without further ado, let me bring in my very good friend. Hi there. How are you?
Hello. It's great to be back. How are you?
I'm doing very, very good. Again, I always do this, and stop me if you feel like I do it too much, but I have to give an extra special thanks to you when you come on live because of the time change. I know it's the wee hours of the morning already for you, but I appreciate you being here and always looking as if you've got a full night of sleep already. So thank you.
I'm well trained. I could be up all night. I'm all good.
I feel like
very
you're
grateful to be here.
Partially nocturnal anyways.
I'm AI.
now the internet rumors will run wild. She's admitted it.
Yes.
Let's talk about this case involving the singer David. His name is spelled D4vd. I found out why that was. Have you learned that, why he spells his name that way? It's kind of interesting.
I have seen the speculations of why. What did you find out?
Well, the speculation maybe that I saw is that because he rose to stardom over TikTok and over SoundCloud as an artist, not the traditional kind of signed by a record label way, his team thought that they wanted to find a way to distinguish his name so that it would be very searchable. And if you type in D4vd, nothing's going to pop up but this guy. So it made him very searchable. Is that what you found?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good one. I mean, I've heard other theories that go more into, speculation land, big time. But
Sinister stuff.
was,
Oh, gee, I haven't
yeah.
heard that. Oh, maybe. Well, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit because that is kind of a running theme with this case. The police have not released a whole bunch of information. And because of that, there's a lot of online speculation that we're hoping between you and I, we can disabuse some people of that stuff. So let me give a very short intro to what this case is about if people have not been following it. But on September 8th, a decomposed body was found in a Tesla at a tow yard here in Los Angeles. And inside of the front trunk of that Tesla, you can see in the picture there, they call it, Tesla owners call it the frunk, was a decomposed body. That Tesla is registered to this singer, David. His real name is David Anthony Burke, and he's 20 years old. The Tesla had been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills in what, if you're familiar with the area, it's called the Bird Streets here in Hollywood. The body was wrapped in plastic. Now, the first thing I want to get into, we'll get into all the other little details, but the first thing is that there have been reports that the body was dismembered. But Gisela, share with us where that might not be entirely true information. Share with us what actually has been reported by police, not so much by the media.
So what the LAPD has said was that the body was not intact. It was severely decomposed, and they identified eventually the remains by some tattoos and I think dental records and other things. But when they said not intact, there were other sources that spoke to the media that said because the media, mainstream media said, according to our sources, they only found a head and a torso. So I don't know what those sources are. I just want to look at what the LAPD said, because I was also caught up in all that, like, oh my word, there's like a head and a torso and one arm or what? But it sounded to me like when they said head, torso, and one arm, that were the identifiable parts, of the body. I think there was a little mix in communication there. A lot of social media still believes that she was completely dismembered and all of that. But when I went back and looked at what did the LAPD say, because they're not saying much. All they said was severely decomposed. She would have been 14 years old when she died, because the body was discovered one day after her 15th birthday, and that the body was not intact. So that is very vague.
That's very vague, and there might be a reason why they're describing it that way. And I think that the media, mainstream media, in reporting it as dismembered, there's a big difference, if you think about it, between not intact and dismembered. Dismembered implies somebody did that to the body, right? That you took not to get horribly graphic about this, but that you took a person's body and you physically took their body apart. Not intact can include, in my view, as a description by law enforcement, a body that has decomposed and therefore fallen apart. And I know that's really graphic, but that's a way that they might describe it, as not being intact, which now, with the information that we know, the body has been identified as belonging to, like you said, a 14-year-old at the time she went missing. Her name is Celeste Rivas. She has been described as 15 again in the media, but to your point, that's only because at the time she was discovered, according to when she was discovered, she would have been 15, but she went missing at the age of 14.
13,
so she's more
missing at 13. Yeah.
Oh, missing at 13.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, so I'm even wrong on that. So she was missing. Because she's been missing since April 5th of 2024. So which also, if you figure, again, this is just us trying to kind of put together the pieces. But if you figure if she died soon after April the 5th of 2024 and had been disposed of, that is a whole year for a body to decompose, which might indicate why it was then no longer, quote unquote, intact at the time that they discovered it.
Yes. So birthday's in September. So yeah, she was 13 when she went missing. Right. So you're right. If something happened to her before even her 14th birthday, oh man. Yeah, this case is so bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So here's what we know then. She goes missing on April the 5th, 2024. She's from Lake Elsinore area here in California. Then her body is discovered in this Tesla. It's wrapped in plastic. They take some time to identify it. And then they realize that the car belongs to this singer, David. They then search his home the same day that the body is identified. The body's identified on September 15th or 17th, pardon me. And they search his home. Now, he doesn't own the home, correct? He was using the home or renting the home back at the time that she went missing. So that's why they're searching that home. And right now, the way things stand is that the medical examiner has not given a manner or cause of death, but instead is listing that currently as deferred, which is not an official designation. It just means they don't have one yet. Is that all sound about right, according to your research?
That all sounds right. And where David was staying, his manager was actually renting the house. It's now come out that the landlord didn't even know that he stayed there, as in that David stayed there. So that's interesting as well. David's also packed up all his stuff and the manager, and they've headed out from there. So that's interesting too. But yes, from when she was missing, that was the last time she was actually seen, because there's been pictures that have popped up of her with David, and there's been like at events in LA or maybe backstage at a concert, and those all before April 5th of 2024. Now, the latest rumor as of today on September 24th of 2025 is that she may have been spotted at one of his concerts. So there's like footage flying, but I just think, sometimes people might jump the gun a little bit because you're not too sure. It could just be any other girl. I mean, yes, also she's also got wavy hair. She looks similar to Celeste, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying, yeah, that's her at the concert, but that's the latest. And if so, then she would have been spotted 2 weeks before her body was found. That doesn't sound like it matches what the LAPD is saying, but I don't know. They're saying so little. Who knows?
Right. As far as the way that they describe the decomposition, I mean, I'm no medical examiner, but I would imagine that in 2 weeks' time is probably not enough time for a body to be described in the way that it was severely decomposed. That even when they were describing it initially, if you remember this, the reports were, they couldn't even give an accurate weight. They couldn't give an accurate age estimate. I mean, it sounds like the body was severely decomposed, which lends itself more towards the idea that she may have died soon after she went missing. I mean, to your point too, the family said she went missing. So the family had no contact with her. So she's out living a life and going to concerts and everything. Maybe that could have been true, but she's certainly not in contact with her family. Which brings me to another thing that I've heard, and I'm curious if you know more about this, but I saw early reports saying that her brother, Matthew Rivas, had told either police or media that she was the last time he spoke with her, she was going to a movie with a person by the name of David, and then that's the last they heard from her. Is this what you had learned?
Yes. So what I had heard is that David, so we're not sure if it's the David in this case, but David had actually picked her up because she lives about 90 miles away from his area, picked her up to take her to the movies, and they never saw her again after that. Now, she'd run away 3 times before that, and that matched the time from when he moved to LA. The minute that he moved to LA from Texas, she started running away. So that's interesting as well.
This is why I love talking to you, because that is something I had not heard before just now, that you can actually match up when he's actually in Los Angeles to when she starts running away. Because TMZ recently, I think it was today, is reporting that she had run away several times before, that she was from a quote unquote troubled home, something about having multiple fake IDs, and that the mother said she was dating a person named David.
Yes. That was all between January and April of 2024. And he moved to Los Angeles in January of 2024. And he'd already bought his Tesla in Texas, which is why it's got the Texas plates. So Yeah, there's
Oh,
a whole timeline there, and they were already in communication based on, so I guess allegedly in communication based on Discord screenshots. A Celeste had already entered the chat in, I think it was January of 2021. She would have been 10 years old. That is so crazy. Like 10 years old on Discord, and he's communicating with her. People spoke about A Celeste in this group. And so it would make sense if they were already communicating. And then when he moved to LA, now she starts running away from home. Last time being April 5th of 2024.
oh, wow. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me just get this straight again. You're saying that there is evidence of her at least communicating with him while he was still in Texas. Is that where he's from, Texas?
Yeah, he's from Texas. He was actually born in Queens, New York, and then his family relocated to Texas, and that's where he grew up, and he was homeschooled from 7th grade. So his dream was to be a Fortnite gamer and a
Yeah.
full-time YouTuber doing that. And that's actually how he started his music, because he was getting copyright strikes from playing music while playing the game, and his mom said, well, make your own music. So when he made his own music and was playing Fortnite, he made a Fortnite Discord group. So that became a small fan base for him. His music started taking off, and Celeste was apparently part of this Discord group. I say apparently because you could see a name Celeste as part of the group. It's just that there's two Celestes in this case.
Mm,
This case is quite crazy. So I
yeah.
do think it was her, though, based on the timeline and everything else matching. The thing that's interesting that you were asking about the brother, Celeste's
Yeah.
brother said that he last saw her leaving for the movies and she never returned. But today, this is again now it's alleged, it's social media speculation. People are sharing conversations that they've allegedly had with the brother, saying that he last spoke to her 2 weeks before her body was found, which is why that's now matching up with the concert footage and all of that. But I'm not sure about that.
So wait a minute. The brother is saying he spoke to her 2 weeks before she was found.
Something like that, but that's all
Oh,
alleged, because most of this case, this is the problem. This is why I like timelines. I look at
yeah.
timelines and I want to see what the LAPD said, but I'm definitely aware of everything that's going on, and on social media, just to keep an eye on it, just in case. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to when they can actually make an arrest, because I'm sure they're working very hard
Yeah.
on that, with all the investigating that they are doing. Even though they're quiet, we would know they're working very hard behind the scenes. And for this guy, for it to be his Tesla with her body in it, oh man. How are you
No,
going to explain that?
100%. And by the way, the home that they searched recently was in very close proximity to where the car was abandoned. So if we're all trying to say this could be a coincidence, his car could have been stolen, could have nothing to do with him, it really is starting to shape up that. And again, we'll get into why this case is a little troubling, because they haven't declared it a homicide investigation just yet.
Yeah.
But whatever happened to her, the signs seem to be pointing towards it involving him, because the car's abandoned close to where he was living. The car's registered to him. The abandonment, is in close proximity, matches up to when she's last seen. I mean, all of this is starting to fit together. But still, they have not, and that's part of the problem why. Again, I'm not trying to criticize the LAPD, but their hesitation to release more information has caused people to kind of wildly speculate. But they have not declared this a homicide investigation at this point. They're
No,
just
they actually apologized for initially calling it a homicide investigation. There's a media statement that I saw, amongst all these articles and things, where they said the LAPD apologizes for initially saying homicide investigation. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's a death investigation at this point, which,
wow. Which
yeah.
is by the way, irritates the crap out of me. What does death investigation mean? Well, I mean, it means nothing. Obviously, they're investigating somebody's died, right? I mean, to call it
Yeah.
a quote unquote death investigation absolutely adds no
Yes.
clarification to that. I mean, they could say a suspicious death investigation, and that is certainly suspicious to me. No one there is obviously something that caused some person to wrap this poor girl up in in plastic and put her in a car and then abandon the car, right? I mean,
yes,
that's certainly suspicious. Let me break for a moment because I know some people have Johnny Knoxville. Thank you so much, my friend, for the super chat. Says found in his car, and he's not even a person of interest. Either there's evidence that he's not involved, or he hired a coworker to detail his car. Okay. Well, to your point though, Johnny, it's in the interest of fairness. From the very beginning, his representatives have been, quote unquote, and even according to the LAPD, cooperating fully, whatever that means too. So, and they're not declaring him a person of interest. So again, adds to kind of the speculation of what exactly, if he's not a person of interest, how exactly, unless he has some sort of rock solid alibi, but it sounds like he was living in LA during the time that she went missing.
Yeah, he was living there. And then at the time when her body was discovered, she was on tour. But the car, he said, was stolen in Seattle. And he said he reported it as stolen. That's what the media reported. But the LAPD says the car was never reported as stolen. So there's already contradicting statements there. And also, if the car was stolen, it was located 0.1 miles from where he lives. So like he would have to drive some other car because he had multiple cars, but driving out from his property, he would have to like almost drive into it. You're going to see it.
Yes.
It's right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, if you report a car stolen and it gets impounded, you're notified. I can't imagine that it wouldn't get impounded even if it was abandoned and him not be notified. So like it was in a tow lot for some period of time too. And you're telling me that he was never abandoned or never went to claim it or knew that it was in the tow yard and never did anything about it?
That is such a good point. He just carried on with his world tour
right.
at that time. He carried on with it until her body was identified.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing, let's take some, first of all, let me thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much for the gift of memberships. Greatly appreciated. Fala, damn it. Thank you so much for the gift of memberships. Very greatly appreciated. Best Nancy. Thank you guys so much for all your generosity this evening. Jude Evans with the super chat says he lived in the Houston area. Plates were registered in Hempstead, west of Houston. Well, there you go.
Yes.
Is that where we believe he kind of grew up and started?
Yes. Yes.
Remarkable thing. Let's talk a little bit. Oh, therapist, says, damn it, they're just trying to be cool like Fala, damn it. Southern Calibi says, this is giving let's make an alibi. Yeah, I mean, that to me, that could be the only reasonable explanation why law enforcement is hesitant to declare him involved, is if he does have some sort of rock solid alibi, but we haven't really heard about that, which is strange too, because you feel like his PR people might have released that. But it sounds like, I mean, going back to who he is as a person, it's kind of tragic too, because it sounds like he was a remarkable young man. If he was able to just start this career, I mean, he was on tour with some fairly big artists. I mean, he's on his own tour. This is not something that happens just because you start releasing some songs on TikTok. So he was apparently incredibly talented. But part of that leads to some speculation too. And I wanted to get into this. I have heard reports. Well, first of all, he's got a song called Romantic Homicide that everybody's just kind of running wild with, but that was released in 2022. So if there's any connection, I don't see it. But then have you heard this, that he released a song called Celeste, or he has a song called Celeste?
There was a leaked song. It leaked. He didn't release it. He didn't promote it. It leaked on Spotify or on SoundCloud, and that's all we know. And it actually did so in December of 2023 already. It's only now making the headlines again because people are like, wait, what? Like it's called Celeste, I think, Demo Unfinished. So yeah, I don't know which one of the two Celeste is singing about, but it's
they obviously knew each other, right? I mean, there's photographs. We have a photograph of the two of them together. So they obviously knew each other. And then there's this whole deal with the tattoos. Do you want to walk us through that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So they have matching tattoos on their right index fingers, which says shh, like SHHH. So that as well. So it's his Tesla, her body's in it. They have matching tattoos. And the thing is, while they say death investigation, this would be probably a multi-layered criminal investigation, because he was pursuing, allegedly, talking to, engaging with a minor. I mean, from when she was 10 years old is the earliest report that I could find, 10 or 11. So what was the intention there? Why was she running away from home? Why was she getting tattoos that are matching? He only got his in, I think it was September last year. That's the time when it surfaced, his tattoo started showing. Before that, fans didn't see the tattoo. But that is, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I don't know. If you were his defense attorney, would you be worried right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it clearly seems like he knows more than he's letting on, or at least the information that he's released. I mean, if you're his defense, I think the silence is kind of speaking for itself, in that if he were completely innocent of all this, I feel like they would be releasing more to say, hey, David's been in on this tour. He was nowhere near it when she was Dave. He would never allowed her to the house, whatever it is. But it's just kind of this, like, we're cooperating, as if that's going to solve things. Let's take some questions, if you don't mind, because some of these are asking the same things that we're talking about. Alicia K. Mayo says, confirmation he got the Tesla returned by law enforcement. I heard a report on that too. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that one.
Okay.
I will be writing that down and
now,
going down that rabbit hole.
When I say I heard that, to be honest, I don't know where I heard that, if it was media or online kind of Twitter speculation or what. But I'll tell you this, I would be floored if that were true, because it's evidence. I mean, I've handled cases where a car has been, considered part of the evidence that doesn't get returned for years. I mean, not until the trial is done and everything's resolved does this property ever get returned. I would be absolutely floored if they actually return that. So, Gisela, look into it. Find out the answer for us.
I'm already raising a brow and saying, I don't think so, but we'll have to look. We'll have to look. Yeah.
Tanya Mata brings up a very good point. Could it have been an OD? I'll let you kind of jump in if you've heard anything about that, and then I'll just kind of share my thoughts on why I think that might be causing the hesitation from law enforcement.
I think with the state of the body being severely decomposed, it would be difficult to see how the victim died. So now they've deferred the cause of death, which means that, yes, that could include, I'm going to censor for YouTube, self-deletion. It could include overdose. It could include an accident, all sorts of other causes of death. So I'm just careful to speculate on that, because shame, this is a child. She was only 14 when her body was discovered. So I don't know. I feel like it could go towards victim blaming, but yet it is a possibility medically. It is possible that something happened to her that's not that somebody stabbed her, strangled her, or murdered her.
Yeah. And I think that might be part of the reason as to why we haven't heard more from the medical examiner, because when you find a body in this condition, one of the things that you're going to do, unless it's incredibly obvious from the body itself. Okay, again, not to get too graphic, but if we're talking bullet holes in somebody's head, even when the body's decomposed, you've got a fairly good idea of how that person met their end. But if the body doesn't have obvious signs, they're going to go to toxicology, and toxicology is not an overnight thing. You know what I mean? So it might be that they're waiting on toxicology to come back to rule that out, right? If it comes back as she's got fentanyl or something in her system, that might explain the cause of death, but it wouldn't at the same time necessarily rule out the manner of death, because we've seen now cases where people have overdosed and they've charged it as a homicide. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think somebody's getting arrested.
Yeah.
You know, even just as I say, they've got his computer. You know, they're doing all the digital forensic tests now, computers, cell phones, and all of that. Her cell phone was not active, neither was the social media from the day that she went missing. So I don't know if they have her cell phone. And to me, her going completely silent from the moment that she's picked up for the movies on April 5th of 2024 is a huge red flag. Unless he was just, I'm speculating, unless this David picked her up and was isolating her in that way. I don't know, or she had a burner phone or something. But can you imagine what they're going to find on there? They could even uncover more inappropriate relationships with other minors.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think somebody is probably going to get arrested. And even if it was like an OD, okay, how did that happen? Under what circumstances? Why is there a child in your house? Why is there now a child in your car?
Well, excellent point. Why are you having a minor over? Why are you giving a minor drugs? Why are you allowing a minor who, by the way, is a runaway, to stay at your home? All of that. And then even putting all of that aside, why in the world was this body wrapped up in plastic and put in a car? I mean, there's a crime here regardless. There's a crime.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we've just got to figure out who committed it and why.
Yes.
This is another one. I've not heard this one. Jill. I don't know. Thank you so much for asking, but I don't know what your name is, but says, is it true that his father is an attorney? Have you heard that one? That's new to me.
I have not heard that one either. That one's new to me too. Haven't heard that one.
All right.
Writing it down.
This is one I have heard, though. Not as far as a rumor, but a lot of people asking this question, because Teslas, as we know, are basically driving surveillance and devices and computers. I'm sure, again, to the point of if they've the likelihood of them returning that car is nearly at zero to me. They're probably going through the cameras and the GPS and the history and everything else on that car, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure. I would not think that they would hand their car back anytime soon. I'm sure they're doing major tests on it, as you say, and it's like a computer on wheels. There's so much to analyze with a Tesla. So I'm sure it's going to hold a lot of potential evidence. Yes.
Teresa Clay says, why are we not hearing from the parents? Have we heard from the parents? We've heard from the mother, right? I know they made some sort of statement, the family.
Yeah, so the mother, Celeste's mother, made some statements to the media initially before this all blew up on social media. I'm sure now they're even scared to say anything just based on how it's gone. But she spoke to the media just to say that her daughter had a red ink tattoo on her finger, that thing, you know, and that helped to identify her. So she made that statement and shared the GoFundMe link. And then I think from there, we haven't really heard from her family.
Really sad case. I'm looking through the other questions, and we've kind of addressed most of them to some extent. Johnny Knoxville says, would love to know what digital evidence there is. Ring cameras, Tesla data, his cell data, her cell data. Where is the FBI on this case? Great questions, Johnny. I'll let you weigh in, Gisela, but I'll just hop in first to say, I am sure they're collecting all of that. I mean, a home in the Hollywood Hills, I would be shocked if it doesn't have some sort of surveillance, including ring cameras. That Tesla, they're getting a data dump. His cell phone, they're getting a data dump. I did hear that they removed a computer from the home as part of the search warrant. Is that true?
Yes, they did. Yeah, that's what was reported.
Yeah, so they're getting all of that data. Her cell phone, his cell phone, all of that they're doing, all of that they're dumping, and they're trying to reconstruct. As far as the FBI, they don't really need the FBI, LAPD to do all of this. I mean, they have the resources to do all of this kind of forensic dumping of digital devices. So bringing them in might not be all that necessary at this point, unless they feel that some sort of like out of state conduct needs to be involved. But, what is there anything else that we're missing? Any other new revelations that you find to be fascinating or something that people should be aware of?
I think what's interesting, and this is again just speculative, but the circumstantial evidence against him at this point would also be his art form, his music, his alter ego that he says is a killer. And then his music videos putting a body in the trunk, even though he was the victim and the killer in that music video. Like, but putting a body in the trunk and saying in a different song,
Wait a minute, that's in a
romantic
song?
homicide.
He says that in a song?
In a song, there's actually the music video. There's two people putting a body in the trunk of a car. Now, it's his body, and there's two of him because he's got him, the detective, and his alter ego called Itami, which means pain in Japanese. He explained it in interviews. So that whole, and he says Itami just sometimes will snap and will murder people, and then the real him or whatever would have to solve those crimes himself. So I'm like, the darkness of his art, at first, I'm sure for fans was like, oh, well, this is interesting. The merch with all the blood spatter, the weird music videos now in hindsight. I think that's all part of it. If I were I'm not an attorney, just to clarify for everyone, but if I were a defense attorney and I'd be so worried right now. Even his lyrics saying, I killed you and I didn't even regret it. And all these lyrics are just, oh man, like it just seems like it's going to actually count against him. So that could be a plausible reason for someone to very easily frame him because his art is so weird and his music is so damning. Or it could just be him taking his art too far.
Yeah. God, wouldn't that be insane if this
oh
was
man
some sort of sick kind of playing out of his art? I saw an interview with him where he was talking about that song Romantic Homicide and how he was saying he's telling the interviewer that well, I wish I had saved the interview. I should have played it, but I'm paraphrasing it. But he's saying, well, I'm talking about it figuratively. It's talking about a figurative homicide. And I'm sitting there going, well, isn't that kind of go without saying, dude? I don't know if I need you to really clarify that all much when you're talking about music lyrics. Have you seen this interview or you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I'm trying to watch all. I think I may have watched almost all of his interviews because I'm like, I want to know. Right. Tell me everything about you, dude, because what is going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very eerie. So, and now he's also had funeral like themes at his concerts from 2024, like when he literally has a casket there, and that's the death of Itami, which is this. He calls him an agent of chaos, this alter ego. And I'm like, so you literally have a casket there and it's all themed with death and all that, which is just, I just think in court one day, if he is ever arrested, which right now is not even a person of interest, but oh man, they're definitely going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Lyrics, eerie, homicidal videos and all sorts of things. It's quite scary.
Yeah, I try to avoid getting into the conspiracy theory sort of stuff, but this is just creepy stuff. I mean, you have to deny that he's got some sort of weird macabre interest in death, right?
He says he loves gore. That's the thing. On Discord servers, on messages, he loves gore. So that also, unfortunately, art is just art until, well, now there's a dead 14-year-old in your Tesla. Like now we're all looking. I also try to avoid conspiracy theories, by the way. But now we're looking at like, oh, did you mean some of that literally, or what is going on here?
Yeah. Well, and like you said too, even. I mean, the important thing is getting to the bottom of why this one young girl died and who was involved in that or why they covered it up and why, all of that.
Yeah.
But then the other kind of elephant in the room is what is this 20-year-old doing associating with a girl as now you can pin it to as close as early as 13? Is that what you said? Or even younger? So
she may have started communicating with him online from when she was 10 years old.
My God.
He would have then been 15. So she was 10 and him 15. Now he's 20 and she would have died when she was 14. Yeah.
God. Sickening stuff. Really, really sick. I mean, and the other thing I will add to before we kind of wrap this up is that another reason why this could be taking a while is that I seem, and I don't know why, but I feel like this this, the way that he was living. Oh, have you heard that the house was like a party house? Have you heard anything about that when
I
he was
didn't
living
hear
there?
too much of, no,
Okay.
no.
But my just kind of, and again, this is just as a disclaimer, kind of my speculation based upon what we know so far. But I cannot imagine that there were not other people aware in his inner circle, aware of his
Yes.
relationship with her, aware that she may have been with him during that time that she disappeared, may be aware of how she met her end and why she was disposed of in the way that she was. And police may be speaking to those people now, which is another reason
Yes.
why we might be waiting to hear more about who's a person of interest and who's not.
Yes, we might wait months. They said even just with the medical examiner's test, that could take months. And then, yeah, with all these interviews and the whole network that they might have to actually interview, it could take a while.
Wow.
So we better buckle up because it's only going to get more crazy from here. Social media's only getting started.
Yeah, right. All right, guys. Well, if you want more on this, follow Gisela's channel. I'm sure you are already. If you're not, do yourself a favor and follow Grizzly True Crime. Is there anything, I know you're covering this case heavily, is there other stuff that you're working on that you want to kind of give people a sneak preview as far as to stay tuned for?
So I'm definitely following this case, and I'm trying to follow it by like wading through all the mud and trying to get out the bullet points, the facts, and what the LAPD might say. So I'm definitely following that closely. I'm not going to report on every single rumor, but I'm following that. And then there's a manhunt that's currently happening in upstate New York that I'm following as well. There should be a press conference tomorrow, which will be September 25th. So I'm following that. That's a guy called Anthony Beechand, and his girlfriend was stabbed to death, found stabbed multiple times, and he's on the run. And so they are going to update us to, I don't know if it will be, I think the update will probably be that they're going to pursue murder charges. I think that's what it's going to be. But yeah, I'm following that manhunt as well. And the Rex Heuermann case, like lots of cases. Yeah. I'm very busy almost every day there. So if anyone has never found my channel before, Grizzly double Z like the bear, not Grizzly like gruesome. Grizzly True Crime is my channel. Yeah.
And we put up a link to it for everybody, and there's links in the notes if you're watching this later. Gisela, you're the best. I appreciate this. I feel like I learned twice as much that I knew before just speaking to you this evening. Thank you so much for bringing all of that, and thank you so much for bringing the Grizzly crew, the tribe, the herd with you whenever you come and chat with us. I appreciate it.
The tribe was here. Thank you, Grizzlies, for being here, and thank you, Josh, for having me.
Oh, please. And I'm going to bug you if we get developments on this case. If an arrest is made, I'm already calling dibs to have you on right away. Is that cool?
You better. I'm going to call you back because you're a defense attorney. I'd like to pick your brain.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Fair enough. All right. Take care, my friend. Go get some sleep.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
She is the best. Yes, she is. Thank you, nature girl. Couldn't agree more. Let me see if I missed any questions as I was saying goodbye here. This is a good one. Tiff Knox says, why would he be so dumb as to put her body in her own car? By the way, don't try to attribute too much smarts to people who commit crimes like this. Why would he be so dumb? I don't know. I will say, it may be an indicator that he wasn't involved, but it certainly is not, in my view, an indicator that he was not involved, because sometimes people do incredibly dumb things. David Guagamela says, why would a judge let his art in as evidence of his character? Really great question, and actually kind of a controversial thing, because there was kind of a movement for a while there where prosecutors were trying to bring in lyrics, rap lyrics in particular, of people accused of crimes, and say, well, look at this guy rapped about being a gangster and pulling out his gat and blah, 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 and therefore he must have committed this crime. And then there was a trend of the law and judges saying, no, you cannot say that that's some sort of admission of somebody's mental state. This is art and this is performative. But then you've seen the kind of the pendulum has swung again, where prosecutors are trying to get more into that. And there was a case, I think it was the case out of Atlanta? Oh, why am I blanking on young? Who was it? Kaylin, who was it? Young somebody that just was out of Atlanta. Young Thug. I think they tried to get his rap lyrics in as part of that case. But great question. Can he still be charged for what? Says Sophia Chaudhry. The answer is, if they have proof of it, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you're asking, would that change just because she's no longer alive? Absolutely not. That is a crime that's completed at the time that it's committed. Doesn't depend on that person being able to come into court to testify to it, as long as they're able to prove it. Let me see if I missed anything else. I don't think so. I think I got all of our questions. All right. We've got a few minutes left here. Let's get to our poll. Who won our poll? Again, if you weren't aware, the poll for this evening is the Rex Heuermann case. There's been some developments in that. As far as the final landscape of that case being constructed, so we know what we're going to be looking at trial. Luigi Mangione, his defense team, filed a massive brief over the weekend attacking the death penalty, and the Hakyung Lee case out of New Zealand. Rex Heuermann wins with 56%. Let's get into it. All right. So let's go back to first. There was a long hearing that took place over several weeks because they kept on coming back, days at a time. It wasn't every single day in court for weeks, but they kept on coming back days at a time to consider this quote unquote Fry hearing, which deals with the admissibility of expert testimony, and more specifically, when that expert testimony is considered to be something new or groundbreaking or different. You don't just run a Fry hearing on fingerprints, okay? Like these, some sort of expert testimony is fairly well established, and you're not going to challenge it. You challenge what is considered to be new and novel and something different. Well, in New York, the idea of using whole genome sequencing was something that had never been used in the criminal courts in New York. But to the prosecutor's argument, DA Ray Tierney, that doesn't mean that it was all that new. In fact, it had been used in other states, California and Idaho, namely, and it was used in other different contexts, civilly, but it had not been used in a criminal context in New York. But a Fry hearing basically comes down to the question of whether or not that type of evidence is generally accepted by the scientific community. And Judge Timothy Massey said, I think so, based upon research, reports, uses in other jurisdictions. It's good enough for New York. And so it is making law to some extent in New York, and that this kind of whole genome sequencing is now kind of open game for other prosecutors in New York and other cases that may have been seeking to use that evidence. They've established essentially a precedent here in this case to use that. That was about a week or so ago. But most recently, the last kind of issue being brought by defense attorney Michael Brown that we see there is whether or not this case should be severed. And I know that's kind of a loaded term to use in this case, but that's the legal term for it, meaning can you try these crimes separately? He's been charged with 7 murders. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Amber Lim Costello, Megan Waterman, Jessica Taylor, Sandra Castilla, and Valerie Mack. I mean, that is, first of all, can we take a moment to just acknowledge how incredibly nightmarish and breathtaking it is that in this day, 2025, and we are talking about a person who's just recently been apprehended, who is such an active serial killer, that we're talking about 7 cases that we know of that of murders that he committed. That is just, this is not 1975. This is 2025. And we're talking about this active of a serial killer who was recently apprehended. He was arrested in 2023. And these are crimes dating back to the 90s. And the defense position here is, and listen, appreciate I'm going to make this argument, though I believe the judge made the correct ruling, and I am certainly not a fan of this defendant. But the argument here is something that I think we should all appreciate for what it's worth. And that is, when you have a case like this, where you have several different crimes, each of them are a different crime scene. Each of them have collected their own separate forensic evidence. They're basically, even though we're talking about one defendant, you have to consider them individually. And most importantly, that's how the jury has to consider them. They're not going to be asked the question, did Rex Heuermann commit 7 murders, guilty or not? They're asked the question, did he commit this murder? Now moving on to this murder, separately, independently, did he commit this murder beyond a reasonable doubt? Did he then commit murder number 3, separately, independently, and beyond a reasonable doubt? The problem that the defense says is, well, listen, if you've got 3 rock solid cases and 4 weak cases, those weak cases are going to bootstrap themselves to the solid cases. And people are going to hear and believe that he committed 3 murders. And then they're just going to say, yeah, so he probably committed the other 4 murders. That is not entirely an outlandish argument to make. And it's an argument that oftentimes defense attorneys will bring in these types of cases. Take out for the moment murder and just talk about bank robberies. If a person's accused of committing 7 different bank robberies over the course of 7 different days in 7 different locations, the fact that you have that person on surveillance in 3 of those, isn't that going to bolster the case where you've got maybe less convincing evidence in the other 4? And that's the argument that they're trying to make here, that these crimes, though they're linked to him according to the prosecution, they're also different in as far as geographically where they were located, geographically where the victim disappeared from, things like that. Well, why I believe the judge is correct in this is that there is a couple of reasons why we do want them tried together. One, they are linked together through significant evidence, being the DNA. They are linked together regarding kind of similar modus modus operandi. They are linked together in that the dumping location, I hate to use such a crass word, but that's the word, is generally in the same geographic area. You're not talking about upstate New York or downstate New York. You're talking about all around Long Island. And there's the idea of judicial efficiency. And that is not a small concept. It's the idea of, listen, to bring in 7 different trials with the same witnesses testifying 7 different times, not only is that incredibly costly and ineffective, but it also drags this out till the end of time. I mean, each one of those, are they going to ask for separate time to set each one of those up? So the judge made the right call here. This is just something that the jurors are going to be instructed on, and we will have to believe that they will be able to accomplish, and that is to judge each of these crimes independently based upon their own evidence, and not allowing, again, not to use a crass term here, but a bleed over effect between the crimes to affect them. So that's the latest that's happened with this case. The prosecution has said that they are ready for trial. I will say that they also recently dropped a 723-page inventory and list of potential witnesses on the defense, which is something you have to do in New York, is hand over, here's every potential piece of evidence and every potential witness that we might call, putting you on notice. By the way, this is not like shocking new stuff. It's just the defense already has all of this discovery. Now the prosecution has culled from all of that potential exhibits and witnesses. But that is long. 723 pages is very, very long, which leads me to believe it's going to be a very long trial, which then leads me to believe The ultimate thing that I'm fearing is that this trial will not be set anytime soon. I don't know. The judge hasn't set a trial date yet. I'm hopeful that the judge will set a trial date soon, but I would not be shocked if it could drag out into late 2026, maybe even pushing beyond that. I would not be shocked if we hear that the judge sets a pretrial date well into 2026 at the next date on this, but we shall see. We will keep you all updated on that. Cara LeBlanc, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome aboard. You're cheersing me in your photo there, so cheers to you. All right. We got a couple more minutes. Should we do what was number 2 on the poll? Just to get one more of these in here, because we did kind of go through that David stuff quickly. Kaylin says, wait a second. I don't got time, Kaylin. Kaylin, get on it. Hurry it up. Hurry it up. You have time for me to sip my coffee one time. I didn't warn her. Hakyung Lee. Interesting. All right. I'm glad you guys picked that one. This is the New Zealand case as court lurker. This is one that, like I said, Tiffany brought my attention to this. We want to, someone asked a question recently if we ever cover international cases, and we would love to, but they just don't come up on our radar all that much. So if you guys have some that you think that we should be following, there's Gisela saying hi, still in the comments. I appreciate that. Let us know. I mean, we're always interested in hearing about stuff. It's just the U.S. cases come up in our news feed, and they also end up being in trial with cameras in the courtroom. But this is a very disturbing case out of New Zealand. She was recently convicted. The woman standing here, her name is Hakyung Lee. She's 45 years old. In June of 2018, she moves inexplicably from New Zealand back to South Korea. Now, when I say back to, she was a citizen of New Zealand, but she moves back to South Korea because that's where she was born. And then she changes her name. So she nearly is lost in South Korea. In August of 2022, she stops paying for a storage unit in New Zealand. Stops paying the fees on this. This is where things become nightmarish. Because she stops paying the fees, you guys know how this works. Anybody ever watch that show, that reality show that was on for a while called it was like Storage Wars or something like that, where people would bid on abandoned storage units. I don't know why I loved that show. And they would, all you could do is kind of look into the storage unit, come up with a bid, and then people would bid on it, and you own everything in that storage unit. It's considered abandoned property. Well, they do that in New Zealand, and she stopped paying the fees. It became abandoned property. They auctioned off the storage unit, and the lucky winners of that storage unit discovered 2 pieces of luggage inside, and inside of that pieces of luggage was 6-year-old Minu Joe and 8-year-old Yuna Joe, the 2 children of Hakyung Lee, dead, murdered. So now that was in August of 2022. By November of 2022, they've located her despite her attempts to hide in South Korea, and they extradite her back to New Zealand. And she claims an insanity defense in New Zealand. And New Zealand has a fairly similar standard of insanity as to what we use here in the US, which is a person incapable of understanding that their actions were wrong. Well, the defense says that she had descended into madness after her husband's death, and then gave her children depressants which caused them, I guess she's saying, to lose their lives. Jury didn't buy it. Nobody bought the insanity. She was convicted. Interestingly, she had requested and was granted to not be present during this trial. She felt that it was too disturbing to her, and therefore she watched the trial from another room in the courthouse. In any case, she was convicted. She will be sentenced on November 26th in New Zealand. In New Zealand, she has a mandatory life sentence, but it has a minimum of 10 years before she's eligible for parole. But my understanding, again, I'm many things, some of them good, some of them not so good, but one of them is not an expert on sentencing law in New Zealand. But my understanding is that the judge has discretion to make that minimum higher. And, you know, in other words, the judge could say you have to serve a minimum of 50 years before you're eligible for parole. But the lowest the judge could go is 10 years. And obviously the judge is going to base that on a number of different circumstances. But it will be a mandatory life sentence in the sense that though she will be eligible for parole, the government can still hold on to her for life if she's never granted parole. So there you go. There's your nightmare fuel for a Wednesday evening. Really, really sad, tragic case. 6 years old and 8 years old. These are not little kids here. She I don't know. I don't know if it makes it worse or all of it's horrific. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that other than to me, I was shocked to hear the ages. I was expecting when I first read this article to hear that they were, 2 and 4 or something like that. But yeah, really, really sad case out of New Zealand. So thank you guys for voting for that one so we could get into that. Cara LeBlanc just became a member. I think we talked about that because she's cheersing me in the photo. Annie Legg became a YouTube member. Thank you, Annie. Welcome aboard. All right. Let's do some announcements and get you guys out of here, shall we? First of all, go to thecourtroomconfidential.com. This is where you're going to find a bunch of great stuff. We've been working on this website as much as we possibly can. And here's some perks. One, if you want to leave us a message for us to answer on our weekly Sunday Fun Day, except for this Fun Day, that's a parenthetical sentence, and I'll get into that for you. But you can go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and click on the link and be able to leave us a message, which I will answer, and I'll tell you when. Membership. Also, a lot of you joined tonight. A lot of you received gifts. If you want to learn about all the membership perks, go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and click on become a member, and you can learn about all the stuff that the hard work we put into that. And also, if you're interested in our merch, what is it tonight, Tiff? What is this one? Is this finally chalky mint for Kaylin? I can see her guessing. Matcha mint, says Bice. What are the other guesses? I like this color a lot. I'm partial to the partial to the turquoisey. Please be chalky mint, says Tiffany. It's not chalky mint. T-Suze, are you trolling us? Is it really chalky mint? Did she finally win tonight? All right, I'm going to wait for final confirmation from T-Suze at that one. I see Green Tea Dreams. Well, it's not Blue Lagoon, says T-Suze. Is that sarcasm or is that truth? I don't know. Green Tea Dreams, Petal. What else do I see here? Somebody else had something funny. Lagoony, I thought I saw. Oh, it's chalky mint. There you go, Kaylin. There you go. Chalky mint. But on the merchandise front, the factory who makes this is actually discontinuing a couple of colors at the end of the month. So I wanted to tell you guys, if you're interested, you got to order these now before they end them. We're not ending them. The factory that makes the shirts is ending them. So it's the women's muscle tank in mauve and athletic heather. There's those two colors there. If you're interested in those, you got to get them now. They're women's before the end of the month, or the women's relaxed t-shirt in Heather Prism, Lilac, Citron, and Berry. Is Berry the pinkish looking one? Berry's a popular one. I think Tiffany's got a Berry. Do they not make the Berry in men's? That's not cool. Anyhow, if you're interested in those are going to be discontinued. So get them while they're hot, folks. And you can get them at thecourtroomconfidential.com. All right. What did you miss on Monday? We had our Monday night special. We talked about cases coming up this week, including Barry Morphew, Brian Walsh, Rex Heuermann, Brad Simpson, a lot, very, very busy week. So we talked about all of it, what to expect. Stay tuned this Saturday. We're doing our weekly roundup. As always, that will premiere at 8 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And then on Sunday, no Sunday Fun Day. Tears all around. Still leave us messages. We're going to do Sunday Fun Day the following Sunday. But so that you don't have fits, we are doing a we're doing a special Sunday premiere of our Rex Heuermann case notes. Because of this case kind of reaching a pivotal point in its pretrial, we've put together a revisited case notes that's got everything so that you're entirely up to date. And hopefully the judge will set a trial date soon and you'll know everything about that case that you need to know. So that is going to premiere on Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So same time we would have had Sunday Fun Day. Just show up and watch the Rex Heuermann case notes premiere at that same time. Also, CrimeCon's coming up in Vegas, May 29th through 31st, through the 31st in, like I said, in Vegas. If you'd like to come, we'd love to see you there. The discount code that you can use is courtroom, all caps, all one word, for 10% off. Please take advantage of that because they're running, I think, a special right now on the ticket prices, and you can get an additional 10% off. We would love to see you there. I think it's going to be a blast. We've got a lot of stuff planned, meetups and you know, all sorts of fun stuff. Oh, Kathy, birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday. We love you, says T. Sue. So happy birthday to Kathy. All right. We have made ourselves a goal to never run ads if you're watching a live stream, so that when you're watching a live stream, it's not interrupted by ads, so that you can stay part of the fun. And part of reaching that goal is making sure that we were able to secure sponsors where we could. And one of our first sponsors is Aura. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. If you're dealing with robocalls, spam emails, leaked passwords, Aura is your all-in-one digital security. It gives you alerts, a VPN, an antivirus, a password manager, ID theft insurance, and it's US-based support. We've received some very good feedback on this. A lot of you have checked it out. A lot of you seem to be enjoying it. And so the benefit that we're able to give is that if you go to aura.com/courtroom confidential or scan that QR code, you can get a 14-day free trial. And we hope that you check it out. It's a free 14 days. It's a great product and it's a great way to support the show. So please check it out. Finally, let me thank some of our new members: Nancy B, Christina Wiley, Ain't No Hollow Back Girl, Laura Stewart, Northern Lass Marie, Ashley Floyd, Jules, oh boy, Kasusi K09. Sorry about that one. Melissa Hemphill, Raycia 2023, Linzer, Michelle Smith, Random 1 a.m., Micro Raptor, Angela McCarthy, Jackie Wilson, Lauren W.I., Amy Cody, Mana F, Peace Seeker, Jacqueline Howell, and Jay Larson. Thank you for torturing me with those names. Thank you again to our mods, Afton and Shy Gal, Kathy, and Therapist. You know, I know how to pronounce those names fairly well. And thank you to Kaylin for making everything run so smoothly and all the hard work that you do. Big round of applause for Kaylin because she does so much. And to Tiffany for just making everything possible and for being the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you back this weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.